Hello everyone, and welcome back to Old Charles. In today's video, we're going to dive into the story, history, and value of the Philippines 25 Sentimos coin from 1986. This small coin may not look like much, but it carries with it an important part of Philippine history, especially since 1986 was a year of great change for the country. So, if you're a coin collector, history lover, or just curious about old coins, stick around until the end because we'll talk about its historical background, design features, condition grading, and the coin's actual market value today. Let's start with the history. The 25 centimos coin is part of the Philippine peso system, where 100 centimos equals 1 peso. The 1986 issue is particularly significant because it came right after a major political event, the People Power Revolution of February 1986, which ended the two-decade rule of Ferdinand Marcos and brought Corazon Aquino to the presidency. Although the 25 centimos coin had already been in circulation before 1986, coins minted in this year became symbolic because they marked the start of a new era in the Philippines. The coin belongs to the Flora and Fauna series, which was introduced in 1983 by the Central Bank of the Philippines, Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, BSP. This series replaced the previous Ang Bagong Lipunan series, which was associated with the Marcos regime. The Flora and Fauna series was meant to represent the natural beauty of the Philippines by featuring native plants and animals on the coins. When you hold a 1986 25 centimos, you're not just holding a piece of money, you're also holding a piece of history tied to a period of political transition and national renewal. Now, let's take a closer look at the design of the 1986 25 centimos coin. The obverse features the profile of Juan Luna, one of the most famous Filipino painters and a national hero. He was best known for his masterpiece, Spoliarium, which won a gold medal at the 1884 Madrid Exposition of Fine Arts. His presence on the coin symbolizes national pride in art and culture. The reverse side shows the face value 25 centimos, along with the image of the Philippine trumpet tree, Radermacera ignea, a flowering plant native to the Philippines. This design connects the coin to the flora and fauna theme, highlighting the country's biodiversity. The 1986 25 centimos coin was made of aluminum bronze, giving it a yellowish gold appearance. It weighs about 4 grams and has a diameter of 20 millimeters. These design choices made the coin not only functional for everyday transactions but also symbolic of the Philippines' cultural and natural heritage. Now, let's talk about condition, which is extremely important in determining the coin's value today. Collectors classify coins based on how much wear and tear they have gone through. Here's a breakdown: a heavily circulated coin, with many scratches, dents, and faded details. The design is still visible, but very worn out. In this condition, the coin is usually valued at its basic collector's worth, often just Cuban peso 1 to 5 Cuban pesos, or a few cents in US dollars. Some wear is visible, but major design details like Juan Luna's portrait and the lettering are still clear. A coin in fine condition could be valued around Cuban peso 10 to 20 Cuban pesos. The coin still shows sharp details, with only slight signs of circulation. The portrait and plant design are very crisp, and the surface still has some original shine. At this stage, collectors may pay Cuban peso 30 to 50 Cuban pesos, depending on demand. This is the top grade, where the coin looks almost brand new with no wear at all. Uncirculated 1986 25 centimos coins are much harder to find, since most of them were used in daily transactions during the late 80s and 90s. In this condition, the value could go from Cuban peso 80 to 150 Cuban pesos, sometimes more if a collector is specifically looking for that year. So, what is the actual value of the 1986 25 centimos coin today? Well, it's not considered rare because millions of them were minted for circulation. Most people still come across these coins in old collections, piggy banks, or antique shops. Because of this, the general value in the collector's market is relatively low compared to silver or commemorative coins. However, its value lies more in its historical significance, being part of the Flora and Fauna series and representing the year 1986, a turning point in Philippine history. If you have one in uncirculated condition, it's worth holding onto because well-preserved coins from this series are becoming harder to find as the years go by. There you have it. The story, history, and value of the Philippines 25 centimos coin from 1986. While it may not make you rich, it's an important piece of the Philippines' cultural and historical journey. To understand the 1986 Philippines 25 centimos coin, we need to go back to the early 1980s. The Philippines was going through massive political, economic, and social changes during this period. The currency at the time was managed by the Central Bank of the Philippines, Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, BSP, and the coinage system was being redesigned. From 1975 to 1982, Filipinos used coins under the Ang Bagong Lipunan series, a set of coins that carried the slogan of then-President Ferdinand Marcos. These coins were politically tied to the Marcos regime, as they were meant to reflect the so-called New Society movement of his government. However, after years of political unrest, human rights abuses, and economic struggles, the Marcos era began to collapse, and in 1983, the central bank introduced the Flora and Fauna series, replacing the old Marcos-associated designs. Instead of focusing on political slogans, this new series celebrated the natural richness of the Philippines, featuring native plants and animals. This was a major shift in symbolism, moving away from politics and instead highlighting national heritage and identity. By 1986, this series was still in circulation, and that year holds a very special place in Philippine history. And February 1986, the Philippines experienced the People Power Revolution, also known as the EDSA Revolution. Millions of Filipinos gathered on Epifanio de los Santos Avenue, EDSA, in Manila in a peaceful protest that lasted for days. It led to the ousting of Ferdinand Marcos, who had been in power for more than 20 years, and the rise of Corazon Aquino as the new president. The 1986 25 centimos coin was minted during this historic transition year. While the design of the coin itself was already part of the Flora and Fauna series, the year stamped on it, star 1986 star, gives it symbolic meaning. It represents not only a unit of currency but also a reminder of the Philippines' struggle for democracy and freedom. Another important historical note is that in the 1980s, inflation was affecting the Philippine peso. Smaller denomination coins like the 25 centimos were becoming less valuable in real terms. People often used them for small purchases, like jeepney fares or buying candies, snacks, or newspapers. Because they were heavily circulated in daily life, most of these coins got worn down quickly. That's one reason why finding a 1986 25 centimos in uncirculated or mint condition today is much harder. In terms of design history, the 25 centimos coin of this period also connects to Filipino identity. It honored Juan Luna, the famous Filipino painter, revolutionary, and nationalist. Born in 1857, Juan Luna became one of the most prominent artists of his time, winning international recognition for his works. His painting Spoliarium was celebrated as a masterpiece, and Luna himself was involved in the reform movement against Spanish colonial rule. By placing his portrait on the coin, the Philippines honored his role as both an artist and a patriot. Meanwhile, the reverse side of the coin featured the Philippine trumpet tree, a plant native to the country. This design symbolized the government's attempt to show pride in the Philippines' biodiversity and natural beauty. During the 1980s, many Filipinos were experiencing hardship, but these coins reminded the nation of its cultural and natural wealth. When it comes to coin collecting, one of the most important factors that determine a coin's worth is its condition. Even if two coins are from the exact same year and design, the one in better condition can be worth several times more than the one that's heavily worn out. The 1986 25 centimos is no exception. Since it was a low-value coin used for everyday transactions, most of these coins ended up in circulation and were heavily handled. Because of this, it's actually rare to find one that looks brand new today. Coin collectors use something called the grading system to describe a coin's condition. Let's break it down step by step. These coins are still very worn, but the major details are visible. You can see Juan Luna's profile, but it will lack sharpness. The plant design on the reverse is present but flattened. Rim edges are worn down and the coin looks dull, but it is still identifiable and readable. Value in this grade might be Cuban peso 3 to 5 Cuban pesos in the Philippines, or a few US cents abroad. In this grade, the coin shows moderate wear, but the details are clearer. Juan Luna's facial outline is visible, and his hairline can still be seen with some detail. The trumpet tree design has more definition, and the lettering is sharp enough to read easily. The coin may have small scratches or surface marks, but overall, it still looks good for collectors. Coins in fine to very fine condition are usually valued around Cuban peso 10 to 20 Cuban pesos, depending on demand. This is a coin that has only light circulation wear. For the 1986 25 centimos, Juan Luna's features will still look sharp, and the trumpet tree will have detailed leaves and petals. The coin's surface still has some of its original luster, and only the highest points of the design may show slight wear. These coins are harder to find, since most 25 centimos were heavily used in the 1980s. Value in this grade can range from Cuban peso 30 to 50 Cuban pesos. These are coins that look almost brand new, with only the tiniest signs of handling. You might see very slight wear on the highest points of Juan Luna's portrait or the trumpet tree, but overall the coin has excellent eye appeal. Many collectors love coins in this grade because they are affordable but still look impressive. A 1986 25 centimos in AU condition might sell for Cuban peso 60 to 80 Cuban pesos. This is the best grade possible. The coin has never been used in circulation and shows no signs of wear. The surface is bright and shiny, with full luster. The edges are sharp, and every detail of Juan Luna's face and the trumpet tree is perfectly visible. Some may even still have their original golden tone, since the coin was made from aluminum bronze. These coins are quite rare because most of the 1986 issues were used daily. In this condition, the value can go from Cuban peso 100 to 150 Cuban pesos, and sometimes higher if sold to a dedicated collector or if the coin is graded by a professional service. If the coin has been cleaned with chemicals or polished, collectors usually see that as damage. A cleaned coin often loses value compared to a naturally preserved one. Since these coins were made of aluminum bronze, they can tarnish or corrode if not stored properly. Green spots, oxidation, or pitting can lower the value. Coins kept in protective holders, albums, or plastic flips usually survive in better condition than those left in jars or drawers. The 1986 25 centimos coin is generally easy to find in worn condition, but finding one in extremely fine, AU, or uncirculated condition is much harder and makes the coin more desirable to collectors. For many, the joy of owning this coin isn't just about its peso value, but about having a well-preserved reminder of an important time in Philippine history.